Hello, two, check. Hello. Two, hello. Is anyone there? Is anyone there, folks? It's me, it's nice to see ya. Hi. Okay, so I don't totally know how any of this is gonna work for the next couple of days. It's the last week of summer. My son is not in camp anymore. He's been in camp the last 3 weeks. He starts school on Thursday, and there's just a little gap in between, like, him having activities during the day and school starting for the next couple of days. And so I'm gonna try to see if I can just log on here for a little bit every day for a little bit of time. Obviously, I don't think I'm going to be able to do full streams each and every day. Once school starts, it's going to kind of go back to normal a little bit. I'll be able to have like a normal schedule again. Obviously, it's been the summer. The last couple of months, it's been, it's been a lot. I've been doing a lot of parenting. I was on vacation. There's times that he just doesn't have as much to do. So it's been really hard to have kind of like a normal schedule over that time. And I don't totally know how that's going to work for the next couple of days. But like I said, I'm just going to try and log on every day for a little bit. And just, be here. We can chat a little bit. Hang out. It's not going to be anything too extensive. But I didn't want to just like punt the next 3 days either. It is important for me to do this show and to keep up the schedule, and also to try and do a little bit to see if I can, make the number go up, etc. Which is unfortunately something that I got to think about.
You can count on me. You're gonna have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Hello, Dimitri. What's up? Dimitri, thanks for the 27 months tier 1. I really appreciate it. How are you doing? How's your summer been going? The number going up a little tiny bit.
You can count on me. You're gonna have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
And Risk Inverse, thanks for the gifted sub as well. Appreciate you, Risk Inverse. Yeah, this whole thing is not really ideal. As usual, happy to be spending time with my son, happy to be parenting, but it's very difficult to do this show at a regular schedule when that's what's going on. Just have him host the show and take a break. I'm sure he would like that, but I don't know that that's a great idea. Feeling pretty ambivalent about this whole like end of summer thing, and anyways, like I am kind of like I'm anxious for some kind of sense of normalcy to come back. It's going to be good to get into a routine. Like I've been talking about, there's a lot of big changes going on as well. He's at a new school. I got a sort of different schedule I got to get used to. I don't really love like having these kind of big changes going on. I like things generally to kind of be how they are and to just like remain the same. Obviously that's not always possible. So it's a little bit of a weird time, honestly, right now. But I'm glad to have all you folks following along. And like I said, but when the school year starts in earnest, I will be going back to like a more of a routine than I've kind of been able to keep up with for this whole summer. How was everyone's weekend? I had actually a really nice weekend. I had a really good weekend. How was everyone else's weekend? We're here to talk you through all this. Well, I appreciate it. Mikey from TMNT taught me the line, "Change is constant early, but I still fight it." Yeah. That is a good line. A little nugget of wisdom from that. Yeah, I don't know. It's like I do kind of become a slave to routine to a certain extent. I want things to just kind of stay how they are. When you're an adult, and especially like when you're a parent, it's just like not really possible. You know? So really trying to adjust to some coming big shifts that are going on in a productive way. I actually genuinely do appreciate having you chat around to help provide this kind of community and this sense of normalcy, because there's a lot going on right now that is not always easy for me to deal with. I had to get up at 6 a.m. on Saturday for a charity golf tournament. Every time I have to wake up early, my brain malfunctions and I end up lying awake until 2. Well, I often get up at 6 a.m., so I guess I'm used to it, but I know, like, anytime you do have to wake up early, specifically, I know the exact feeling. What is that? Is there like a name? Is there like a name for that phenomenon? It's some kind of like anxiety response, but I have the exact same thing. Like if you have to drive somewhere, oh, I gotta wake up at 6 in the morning and go on and drive 4 hours to do this thing. It's like you're up at 2 in the morning just going like, why? What is this? What am I doing? Hello, Joe. How's it going? I have to wake up at 5 to catch a plane. Let's fall asleep at 3:30. Yeah. What is that? Why do we do that? Why do we do that to ourselves? And then it's like I have the whole next day to relax. Like, let's do something fun tonight. And it's like 10 o'clock and it's like I have never been more tired in my life. I have never been more tired in my life. I met up with a lover out of town and we tripped balls on acid and had some fun. 10 out of 10 would do again. That sounds fantastic, Red Wizard. That sounds really, really great. I had a very nice weekend too. I did a lot of really fun stuff. And like, there's a lot of, I'm kind of stressed out about a lot of things that are going on right now. And I was able to take some time this weekend to do some things that I found very enjoyable. So that was really nice. I used to have that problem when I worked nights. You just got to accept that it's okay to be tired. Yeah. There's been times, especially when I've been working different jobs that I hate too as well. You do it. It's like it's a way to like give the finger to your boss, right? Or whatever your shitty job is. It's like, oh, I gotta be up for work at 7. I gotta be alert all day. Well, guess what, asshole? Why don't I stay up till 3? Why don't I stay up till 3 in the morning? Doing anything else, not even doing anything productive. I think it's a neurodivergent thing. If I fall asleep now, I can get 7 hours of sleep. If I fall asleep now, I can get 6 hours of sleep. And then it gets really unpleasant when you start passing the point of no return, where it's like now I'm screwed either way. Like now I'm in the 4-hour territory. Now I'm in the 3-hour territory. Now I'm in the 2-hour territory. And then you have the feeling bad about yourself in addition to the knowing full well that you're going to be totally screwed the next day. That's a bad place to be. You start thinking, if I go to sleep now, I'll actually be more tired. That's right. It's called revenge sleep procrastination. Yeah, that sounds about right. That sounds about right. Ugh. I used to hide my alarm clock back then so I wouldn't see the time. That's just smart. That's just a smart strategy. Then I get worried if I go to sleep now, I'll oversleep my 10 alarms. Are you one of those people, Donnie Durr? You're a multiple alarm person? I've never really been about that life. Usually I got one and then I'll snooze. I'll snooze if it really comes down to it. I don't have the 10 alarm situation. I know some people that works for some people. So, Chan, how are you feeling about this upcoming end of the summer? September is coming up. It's like, that's really hard to believe, you know? Can we get some summer ratings going on? How is your summer overall? If you could give it a rating, I would say out of 10, but if you want to have a different scale, you can indicate what the scale is. 2 out of 10 from Dimitri. Okay. 6 out of 10 for Cool J. Sad it's over. I'm sad it's over as well. We got a 7 from Moss. That's solid. Bon, we got 4 out of 10. Okay, that's not great. Blurp is 8 out of 10. It was too hot. There was points where it was very hot. I don't know how I'd rate my summer. It's actually really hard to say because I've had some really good times this summer. Some of it's been like really, really great. Interspersed with some like really bad times as well. It's never been even, you know what I mean? There's been no evenness to it. It's been like, wow, things are really looking good right now. I'm feeling good. I feel excited about life. Interspersed with some really, really shitty times. So I guess, like, I think I would be looking at an 8, and I guess that would probably knock it down to a 6 or a 5. But the good times have been excellent, though. The good times have been really excellent. I had surgery, took up an extra job. That's a lot, Dimitri. It's a lot. It was smoky a lot here, but not as bad as last year. Yeah, I mean, I guess that's something we have to all, you know, especially in that part of the country, be prepared for every year now. It's just the question of whether it's apocalyptic or just merely kind of an inconvenience. I think some of it was kind of apocalyptic too, so. 8 out of 10, I got to see Michigan Upper Peninsula featuring the Northern Lights. That sounds great, Kijiji. That sounds really great. Probably 7, started real shitty, but it ended up great. I think that's the kind of thing that I've got going on right now. I've been getting whiplash from some really, really good things going on and some not so good things. And also all these upcoming changes that I'm a little stressed about. But you know, we're still standing, chat, and that's the thing. We're still standing, we're still here. We made it. We made it through. It's September. We still got another couple of months here of some fall weather, you know. Hoodie season's coming up. Probably in September is going to be super hot again. I'm to Vancouver in a month. That should be fun. That will be fun. That sounds great. This weekend was really great, though. I had a really good meal last night at this Syrian restaurant in Montreal. Probably, like, legitimately one of the best meals I've ever had. It was, like, really, really good. And I did some biking. I'm trying to get to be a little more of a biking guy. I don't know if this is a kind of a new development for me. So in Montreal, you have these Bixi stands, right? Which they have like around all different places, right? Assad puppet eating at a Syrian restaurant. That's right. I made sure to wear my Lion of Damascus shirt as well, so everyone knew where I stood on that. Well, the thighs are not really like, there's no shift yet because this is a new thing. So in Montreal, we have these Bixi stands, and I know this is like a thing that's like all over the place in all these different cities. But I've never really like used it. I've never really used this service. Like I live right outside a Bixi station, and I never really use it. It's just one of those things that like even though there's like barely any barrier to entry at all, it just becomes like impossible for me to figure out, and I'm like, it's complicated. I don't know how to do it. I can't figure it out, even though it would probably take 30 seconds of thought or work to actually figure out how this works. But over the last couple of days, I was influenced to finally start becoming a Bixie guy, and honestly, it was really cool. It's a really cool. There's like some really good bike infrastructure in this city. I was able to do that a little bit this weekend, and it was like really cool. It's a really good way to get around. Now that you've done it, would you say it's like riding a bike? Oh boy, there we go. And it's actually true, because when I started getting on there, it had been quite a while since I did ride a bike. And it did take like not a long time, but it took like a little bit of time, 15, 20 seconds for the muscle memory to come back. At first I was like, ah. It took me a moment to remember how to do that. But yes, it is indeed like riding a bike. You just remember how to do it. Bixie is great in Montreal. I quite enjoyed it. Yeah, Carnauba, like last night we Bixied from like the plateau area to the old port, which is just basically like all downhill basically, and it's just this big glide downhill. It was like quite fun. It was fun. It was like a ride. It was like a fun ride. Gliding down Barrie all the way down to the old port. It was like really cool. It's like it was really cool. I lived in Montreal for a bit but didn't experience the bike lanes. How are they? They're good, and they're improving as well. I think that's one thing that Valerie Plante in Montreal has been trying to like still work on, you know. Obviously she can't put a dent in the police budget or, you know, anything like that, but having little community spaces and green spaces and bike lanes, that's one thing that she's been good for. So it's pretty good. I mean, it's not everywhere, it's not perfect all over the city, but there's some really solid bike infrastructure to get around. And there's another couple months of decent weather. I'm looking forward to being able to explore it a little bit more as well. Doing a bike stream would be cool. As always, just doing the IRL streams are always more difficult with the, you know, the data and that makes it a little bit more complicated. It would be fun though. It'd be fun to do. But that's what was going on this weekend. There was a lot of biking around and having really nice meals and you know, spending time with people. It was good. It was a really good time. Cheaper than a taxi, more than a bus. Well, it depends as well, Carnauba, because you can get a monthly pass. You can get a monthly pass for like $22 or something like that. In which case, I don't think it is cheaper than a bus. If you use it a certain amount, you know? If you use it a certain amount. Just one moment here. Okay. And yeah, I feel a little bit silly because I live in this place that actually has this kind of infrastructure which does not exist everywhere. And I feel a little bit silly that I've not been taking advantage of that over the years. Dr. Awesome says a couple chats ago, I started to take my health seriously and I'm in the best shape of my life this summer. That feels pretty good. I'm very proud of you. We're all very proud of you, Dr. Awesome. That's really going to be a goal for me this year. Taking my health seriously is not something that I've been doing for the last couple of years. I think COVID and the pandemic and everything made that even harder. Like I already have kind of like a psychological blockage when it comes to like regularly seeing a doctor, taking care of my health. And then I think when it felt like I don't want to go to like health clinics anymore, it really like had added this whole other barrier to that. So that's like really something that I'm going to try and prioritize.
To talk you through all this.
Kijiji, thanks for the gifted sub and for all the support. I really appreciate that. I'm just going to remind people as well, if possible, people have been very generous supporting this stream as usual. Just remind folks that like if you do support this program and you enjoy the content here on Twitch and you like being part of the community, those tips are really, really valuable for me right now. Like I said, it's been really hard this summer to have a regular schedule and to like regularly do this show. At the beginning of the summer, I was in a really good place, and I've taken a lot of time off. Like some of it, I think was necessary. Some of it was just like I just had no other choice. And it's been a little bit tricky. It's been a little tough figuring that aspect of it out. So if you do enjoy the show, the next couple of days are just going to be some kind of brief check-ins. It's really the only thing I'm capable of doing right now. But if you do enjoy the show and you like being part of the community, please do support it if you can, including by tipping, which is like right now very, very helpful for me. And, I appreciate everyone over the last couple of weeks that's been supporting the show and tipping and all this stuff. It means a lot to me that there's people out there that get something out of all this and appreciate the work that I do. So, it means a lot. It means a lot that people do that. And if it's possible at all, to support this program by either subbing or by tipping, it's very much appreciated. It really is. Good morning, time for some WizBiz. Hello. What is up? How was your weekend? If you had an opportunity to speak to Melanie Jolie, what would you say or ask? Fuck, I don't know. I mean, like, I would probably want to ask her how she sleeps at night, considering we've been aiding and abetting one of the great crimes of modern history. If, as a journalist, maybe I would ask, like, what's the difference between the Russian invasion of Ukraine, which we have been so adamantly opposed, and we've actually been arming and funding the people fighting this Russian invasion for now, going on 3 years, whatever it is, versus why we're just like standing back and allowing another country to just bomb this small captive population into submission, and just that we know for a fact are regularly targeting children. There's so much evidence for this kind of like really rampant criminality, and I would probably want to have some kind of a clarification on like what's the difference between these two things. But I mean, she's a fucking politician, and they don't have morals. They don't have the capacity to be embarrassed or to feel shame, I guess. So it's like, I don't know if there's much that I could say that would like maybe convince her that she's on the wrong side of history here. I watched The World's End for the first time. Oh, that's good. I really love that Cornetto trilogy of Shaun of the Dead and Hot Fuzz and World's End. I think World's End was probably my least favorite of those. I don't know how you felt about it, WizBiz. I don't know how you felt about it. You know what I thought? That like that was one movie where I really liked Simon Pegg's performance in that film and the whole character that they kind of created. And I think that was a movie where, like, when the genre stuff started to kick in, I felt a similar way about Everything Everywhere All at Once. Like, before it became this big genre thing, I was kind of interested in just like hearing like the story that was being set up in the first act. And that's kind of how I felt about World's End. I think of this like kind of desperate middle-aged guy who's still reliving his high school glory days and meeting up with his successful friends for this final kind of pub crawl. I think that's a movie in and of itself, and I was interested in seeing that movie, and the dynamic was so well done. I was interested in watching that movie, and then all this crazy genre stuff starts happening, and it's fun and cool, but like I wasn't really on board with it to the same extent that I was in like Shaun of the Dead, for example, which has a kind of similar dynamic. Yeah, Jay, I've seen Shaun of the Dead like 50 times. I've seen Hot Fuzz 50 times, and I watched World's End just once and was like, okay, yeah, all right, I get it. Hey, Old Dutch, how's it going? It does suck. Yeah, they tried to turn it into TikTok. It's pretty bad. One movie that I did watch, it was okay. I thought it was an okay take on the 12-step program. Yeah, I mean, I would be interested in watching it again. Hot Fuzz is one of my favorite movies of all time, and At World's End just did not work. Yeah, it didn't really click for me to the same extent that these other ones did. I did watch T2 this weekend, though. I watched T2. Hey, there we go, Old Dutch. You watched Aliens, and I watched T2. James Cameron, the master of the sequel. I did watch T2 over the weekend, though, and it's just what a marvel. What a marvel. What an absolute masterpiece that is. Now, there's a fucking movie. Exactly. It is a perfect movie. It is. I think, I guess if there's one thing about the Terminator films, the first one operates in this kind of closed loop. There's this time paradox thing. It's like a Twilight Zone episode. The time travel stuff, that never really makes sense in any movie, but it works, there's this closed loop. The more you add on more time travel stuff, the less sense it makes. And even in T2, it's starting to strain the limits of belief, It can be hard to suspend your disbelief when you're thinking about the logistics of the time travel aspect of it. Reese can't be John Connor's father. Well, it's a paradox, Any good time travel movie has a paradox in it, and that's a paradox. Also in T1, this is one thing that's not really clear in the final film, but the factory where the Terminator is crushed in the first film is the Cyberdyne factory. So they get the Cyberdyne computer company, gets the idea for the machine and the processor from the Terminator. So it's a paradox, right? I am trying to get my wife into the Alien franchise. She watched the trailer for Alien and she thinks it will be too much for her. I mean, Alien is a lot. I think you can jump into Aliens without having seen it and still get the basic idea. And Aliens is a little bit more of like a thrill ride rather than this kind of slow burn, terrifying suspense thing. But that's it. So T2, yes, when you consider the logistics of the time travel stuff, it can break your brain a little bit. It doesn't really make sense, but it's just so great though. It's just so fantastic. Everything about it is just so good. And it just hits. It hits every single time. Let's all watch Primer again and get mad. Primer is... I've definitely seen it at least twice, and it's still, mostly incomprehensible. I did like the kind of, physics of time travel that's presented in that movie, though. I thought it was an interesting take on that kind of, technology. Primer is a great flick. I mean, it's definitely very ambitious. I haven't seen it in probably 20 years. Since it came out and since it was popular. It's very ambitious. It's got some cool performances. I mean, it's really one person's idea and one person's project, and there's something kind of special about that. Was it that long ago? Yeah, it was. Maybe not 20. I think, what was it, 2008 probably? 2008 or 9? Primer. If you like time loop, it's 2004. Okay, well, there it is. If you like time loop movies, I recommend The Endless. I haven't seen that one. I remember there was one that I quite liked called I think it was Time Crimes. It's like a Spanish movie. That was good. Yeah, Time Crimes. I haven't seen Crimes of the Future. I'm honestly a Tenet apologist. We eating plastic out here? Yeah, of course, obviously. I'm a Tenet apologist. It just didn't, for pure spectacle, Tenet just works, even if it like doesn't really make sense. And they even say something to that effect in the beginning. There's this scientist that's just like, just try not to think about it. Just try not to think about it. I only watched Tenet once. My brain couldn't compute. I think that's the whole thing about it, is that it requires like a second or even a third viewing. It almost like it doesn't make sense to watch it once. I noticed the other day in T1 when Arnold shows up at one of Sarah Connor's house, she runs over a toy that looks like the big rig the T1000 steals in T2. Oh, it's interesting. Interesting little nugget. There's a moment in T2 that really destroys me every time. It just absolutely destroys me every time, which is when Sarah Connor goes to Miles Dyson's house and you see that like she's become the thing. She's become the thing that she is the most terrified of. The thing that like destroyed her life and the thing that like she's lived in fear of for decades. And she's become that thing. And there's this moment where it's like you see this kind of like journey that she's been on, and it's just so upsetting to me every single time. It really gets me. Cameron can really manipulate you in those ways sometimes, especially using this kind of family dynamic. It just crushes me though. I think I understood it less on second viewing, but I did enjoy the movie. Nolan can film an action scene. Yeah, I don't know. It's true. It's like it's really hard to wrap your mind around. I think intentionally. It's one of those cases where it feels like it's maybe trying to be smarter than it actually is. Her choices are logical in that context. Oh, totally. Yeah, no, absolutely. You totally understand. And there is like a certain logic to it. Definitely. Ben Jeff, I'm going to have to go ahead and disagree with you there. I'm going to have to go ahead and disagree with you there, Ben. Because I'm a big time Avatar head over here. Okay, this is a safe space for you to express whatever opinions you want, but I'm a big time Avatar guy. So but to be fair though, even though I do love Avatar, I would like to see James Cameron make something that's maybe a little bit smaller, a little bit less like the big spectacle, the big effects. It would be really cool to see him go and make something that was a little leaner and go back to sort of what he was interested in earlier. We're big Na'vi respecters in the chat. Something that doesn't take 9 years a pop. Yeah, absolutely. Like I would really like to see him do something like that again. I'm interested in the upcoming Terminator Zero from Netflix. They have the first 6 minutes released, and it's certainly something. It's an anime presentation. That sounds kind of interesting. I haven't watched any of the new movies. I didn't see like Genesis. I haven't seen. I think I watched Salvation, and that was the last Terminator film that I saw. It becomes too convoluted. It just becomes way too convoluted. Nothing really makes sense. Would love to see a James Cameron mid-range crime thriller for sure, and I'm sure he could like knock that out of the park. My hot take is that Salvation was good. I somewhat agree, Jay. I think I was really resistant to watching it, and I think I was so resistant to watching it that when I finally did watch it, I was like, okay, this is actually not that bad. I thought Dark Fate was better than Genesis. I didn't see any of these. Did not see any of these. I was born the same year as T2 and started watching films later, meaning I never knew that Arnold was a good guy. So imagine how great the film would have been if it didn't reveal Arnold allegiance switch with a corny ass song like Bad to the Bone, but I understand they marketed it that way. Yeah, I mean, I think there's still a little bit of ambiguity, Dimitri, with that, because there is a moment when they meet in the bowels of the mall there, where it's like it's kind of unclear whose side everybody is on. But that's the thing. At that time, like Arnold was the biggest movie star in the world, and I think they kind of had to play it like that. Had similar tension in Kindergarten Cop. Well, I told you folks, like I watched Kindergarten Cop a couple months ago, and I thought it was great. I had a great time with it. Plus, Cameron likes to dunk on the LAPD. That's one of the coolest things about Terminator 2, you know? Just the fact that, like, it's in 1991, with everything that was going on in the news about the LAPD, to have the bad guy in your huge action blockbuster to be an LAPD cop, and to have the biggest movie star in the world at one point just like laying waste to all these vehicles and shooting a bunch of SWAT guys in the kneecaps and stuff. Like, that's a pretty bold thing. And we've talked about sort of the anti-imperialist, anti-colonialist themes in Avatar, which are, I think, a lot stronger there, but there's some really serious, like, subversive imagery in Terminator 2 that you couldn't do that in a US film anymore. No, you couldn't. Yeah, Red Wizard, I would recommend giving Kindergarten Cop a watch, honestly. I would recommend giving Kindergarten Cop a watch. It's very good. I mean, it's not a fucking masterpiece or anything like that, but definitely worth the watch if you want something throw on. It's got a big heart, and Arnold is very good in it too. He's taken all his charisma in that, which is plentiful, and he's using it to full effect. It's low-hanging fruit, but there's definitely some class consciousness in Titanic. Definitely. And then Titanic I haven't seen since 1996 or whatever it was. 1998. I think it became such a phenomenon, and I guess even though I loved James Cameron and I loved the Terminator films and Aliens and all this stuff, I kind of just like, maybe just as a toxic teenage boy, I thought the whole romance thing was kind of, I wasn't into it. But just as like a filmmaking feat as well, in addition to some of the interesting class consciousness ideas in there, as a filmmaking feat, the whole second half of the movie is just crazy. The golden days of film, I do mean film as in not digital. Yeah, I mean, it's so funny how like you can go back to these random ass like low budget comedies from like the late 80s and 90s, and you can compare it to a lot of mainstream films today, and they just look better. They look better, and they got squibs as well. There's some great squib action in T2, by the way. Some fantastic squib. When the whole Miles Dyson sequence, there's some very good squib stuff going on there. Is it a coincidence that the best movies were from when I was 13? No, I don't think it is. I genuinely do not think that it is. There's been some real shifts since that time in, you know, the kind of like stories that get made into movies, the economic realities of like how to make a movie that shuts out a lot of these lower budget stuff and like promotes these big $200 billion blockbusters. $200 million, excuse me. We're not quite there yet. But and making films that just like don't look as good. There's all this new technology and all these new things you can do, but these movies just do not look as good. They don't. Best squib usage in movies is the escalator chase in Total Recall. Absolutely. I mean, Verhoeven is the squib god. He's the squib master. That poor motherfucker. Oh, excuse me. That poor guy on the.
You can count
that
on
poor
me.
guy in
You're
the
gonna have good old
escalator
Rob to
just gets
talk you
turned into
through all this.
hamburger. I always feel bad for that guy. He was just standing there. He wasn't doing anything wrong. It's used as a human shield. Kijiji, thank you for gifting us up to Squibs. Thank you. That human shield is a tough day. And yeah, Dimitri, I do stand Predator 2 here as well. As I think that's important to point out. It's not as good as the original. It's not a masterpiece. It's really good, though. Predator 2 is way better than it has any right to be. Awesome cast. It still looks great. You know? I really like Predator 2. I shouldn't have been standing there. That poor guy. Speaking of, anyone see the new Furiosa? Story was great, but the difference in production between it and Fury Road is very noticeable. The practical stuff is so much better in Fury Road. That might be true, old Dutch, but I loved Furiosa, though. I really, really liked it. And for whatever reason, like Fury Road, even though it's like a technical masterpiece, it didn't quite connect with me to the same extent. And Furiosa, I was like really on board the whole way. It was structured interestingly. It was almost like a mini series. Either the way it was structured, I really liked it. Predator 2 was the first time they started the narrative about the lore of the Predator race and what their culture was. Yeah, there's a little bit of that exposition in the first one, but started to really flesh that out. I think people underestimate how much of Fury Road was CGI. There's janky effects in that movie too, but it's just so good you don't notice. It really is just like a technical masterpiece. What's the one with Topher Grace? Is there a Predator movie with Topher Grace? I did not know that. I didn't watch Predators. After a certain point, I just tapped out of the franchise, honestly. Even the Predator, the Robert Rodriguez one, was not that bad. I would have to watch it again. The one with Adrian Brody. It's got a pretty good cast. It was not that bad, but I don't think it's really approaching the highs of the franchise. Have you seen Prey? Yeah, Prey was really good. Yeah, I liked it a lot. Really interesting take on that dynamic. I think that's the cool thing about the character and like the monster is you can tell a Predator story in like any genre. I would love to see a samurai Predator story, you know? You can just go through all different moments in human history and you can just drop the Predator in there and it's going to be pretty cool. The Predator Rodriguez one is a 1 out of 5. It insulted me. I definitely have not seen it since it came out. And Adrian Brody was the Arnold, which is an interesting choice. It is an interesting choice, and he's a fine actor, but it was definitely a interesting choice for that role. It's cool that Predators respect people that get one over on them and leave them alone. Yeah. I like that too. Like even in the end of Predator 2 with Danny Glover on the ship, they all show up. A bunch of them show up and they're just like, all right, you're all right. Get out of here. Get out of here. They're supposed to be all bastards, but of course the IDF sniper gets to be portrayed as some badass warrior. Okay, I got to admit, Alexandro, I did not remember that aspect of the plot. I must admit, I did not remember that there was an IDF character in the Predator Robert Rodriguez movie. So forget whatever mild praise I just talked about the Predator. I would forget about that. Man. Yeah, keep my Hasbara out of Predator, please. Is nothing sacred? We can't even have a Predator franchise anymore? Yeah, I don't want to lose your pred cred, exactly. We don't want that. There's a comic book series for Terminator coming where the premise is the Terminators are sent throughout time to eliminate certain resistance family members to prevent them from winning. Kind of cool. I mean, isn't that just an expanded idea of the first film? I remember seeing one Terminator thing where it's just the whole thing is just like they're cleaning up the timeline because it's gotten so convoluted. It's gotten so convoluted that they've got to go through time and just like set things back to how they were because it's gotten so crazy. Do any of the Predator movies explore their home planet? I don't think so. Yeah, maybe in the comic books, yes, but I think the third one has, it's like an alien planet where they just drop people. They drop people and things that they want to hunt. And I remember very distinctly, too, at the end of Predator 2, when it's like you go into the ship and you see the skull, you see the xenomorph skull, and be like, oh, it's this big, like, kind of Easter egg. And then they just, like, they made the actual Alien vs. Predator movie, and it was so terrible. It was just so bad. Two of my favorite franchises ever colliding and just making this, like, piece of crap movie. A Falklands War Predator movie where Prince Andrew saves the day because he doesn't sweat at the time. Exactly. He's invisible. He's invisible to the Predator's heat vision technology. Because of his sweat glands not working. That's a great idea, actually. Yeah, that's very good. Have you seen the new Alien? No, I haven't got around to it yet. I got an invite on Tuesday to see it, but don't think I'm going to be able to because I think I'm going to be parenting. The first AVP film looks good compared to the second one. Did not bother with the second one. I didn't see Alien vs. Predator Requiem. I didn't see Predators. I did not see Alien Covenant. A bunch of these movies, after they've disappointed me, I just say no, thank you. No, thank you. What did you think of the original Jean-Claude Van Damme Predator design? I don't recall seeing any like big difference in the design. I know he was going to play the actual like creature. He's just doing splits everywhere. He's doing splits in the trees. A short king predator. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, 6 split groin punches. Exactly. That's how he would have been taken. That's how he would have taken out Carl Weathers. The Van Damme Predator had a tighter ass. Okay, good. I'm ready for Disney to greenlight my Predator film where the Predator hunts Fidel and comrades, but we all know who fucking wins that. Chalk up another one to Comrade Castro. That would be good. I think the Predator joining the side of the Cuban Revolution, that would be kind of fun as well. He like helps them defeat Batista's forces. That would be fun. Because like in the first movie, he only goes after the CIA guys. He only goes after the American imperialists. He leaves all the people that are actually from there alone and just goes after the CIA guys and the Special Forces guys. The only good thing about the second AVP movie is the 12 seconds we get to see the Predator homeworld, and the movie was so severely unwanted they had to break a Hollywood oath and kill a kid in the movie to make it edgy enough to be noticed. I'm just never going to see it. I'm never going to see it. But I will take your word for it. Predators are revolutionary. Well, that's I think that's the takeaway. Yeah, and look at him in Prey, taking out all these French colonialists and fur trappers. do Aliens versus Predators versus Fast and Furious. The only thing more powerful than the alien or the predator is family. Driving really fast cars. Hello, Giovannisa. Yes, it's me. It's me, hello. But the predator only hunts the ultimate prey. Have you seen how many times America loses? What about a Vietnam predator? What about a Vietnam predator going after all these soldiers in Nam? Come on, like that'd be great. In Predator 2, he's taking out far right gangs and cops and feds. That's right. Oh. James Cameron's Predator going after billionaires in the deep ocean. I am still very hyped for the new Avatar. I think it's going to be fantastic. The xenomorph driving an NOS-powered Mazda RX-7. Predator versus Vogue, yeah, but Vogue eliminates him in 2 minutes. It's a short. Yeah, you can't. You come at the king, you best not miss. Jason Statham to a Predator. Oi, bruv, you up the apples and pears? I had that happen once. We did like 5 weeks of Vietnam getting our asses kicked. Then Predator showed up and kicked us out of Nam real fast. And folks, I will remember you one more time, okay? Gonna remind you one more time. I don't have a ton of time to do the stream this week. It's this gap between end of summer camp and beginning of school. I wanted to log on a couple days to try and do a little bit of a stream. If you can, if possible, please support this show by either subscribing or by tipping. Those tips are extremely needed right now. I don't want to get too desperate about this, but any little bit helps. If you can support this show, please do so. I only got a little bit of time this week. After next week, there's going to be a sort of sense of normalcy returning to the schedule. But if you can this week, in the short amount of time that I have, please do subscribe and support to the show if you can. And yeah, any tips would be really, really much appreciated because they're extremely necessary right now. Jeremiah, thanks for the bits. I appreciate that. I actually did have the idea that the guy who plays a Reacher should just be inserted into random movie franchises, but he's Reacher. Aliens versus Reacher, Predator versus Reacher, Captain America versus Reacher. But not Tom Cruise Reacher, right? Like the guy from the TV show, the big boy. That was always a weird choice, wasn't it, putting Tom Cruise in that movie? The whole big thing about Reacher is just like he's large. That's like a central character trait of this character. He's a large man. Let's put Tom Cruise in there. And I love Tom Cruise, but that was not good casting. My mom was a big Reacher Books fan and was so upset about Cruise. I imagine so. Risk Inverse, thanks for the $15. Risk Inverse, you've been helping me out so much. I appreciate it a lot. Thank you for that. We love movie talk. I should have changed the title to Movie Corner like 30 minutes ago, but of course I did not. And Lebowski, thanks for the 1337. He's a good doctor. And thorough.
He's a god doctor. And thorough.
And thorough. Now I'll put this title just in time for us to probably shift into talking about something else. Twisters versus Reacher. That's good as well.
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Comrade Bushy, thank you for the gifted sub as well. Thank you for that. Very cool. Yeah, no, I don't doubt that people were upset by the Tom Cruise as Reacher thing, and it's not even a bad movie, the Cruise Reacher films. It's just a weird choice. I've only read one of the Reacher books. I did just like randomly pick one up one day, and it is that. It's like one of those airport books. It's a page turner. I was just like, oh, what's this? What's one of these Reacher books? Maybe I'll just like read the first page, and then I read the entire book. So
you can count on me.
It is kind of it is a little bit like that.
Talk you through all this.
It's very airport coded. Perfect Speller, thanks for gifting us up to Dr. Dragon Rider. Thank you.
You can count on me. You're gonna have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
And Dimitri, thank you for the $10. I really appreciate that, Dimitri. Thank you. Glad to have you back in the chat today. I didn't finish all of the season 2 of Reacher though. It seemed like a really weird choice in that season 2 of Reacher to move away from what the formula is, where he's supposed to be like on his own. That's his whole thing. Like he's on his own. He's hitchhiking. He gets involved in these kind of like little adventures. Descends on these little towns. And then in the second season of the show, I thought it was a really weird choice to put him back with all his old special forces guys and put him back on this like team. I thought it was just a weird decision. Even though I think he's a way better cast in that role, it was, I thought, a weird choice to kind of move away from that formula that really worked in season 1, where he just shows up in this little small town and then gets involved in a bunch of shenanigans. It's mom coded to me. My mom has read all the Reacher books and all the Bosch books. I remember Bosch as well. Yeah. I think I only ever watched the pilot of that. I didn't watch the whole thing. They're going to go back to season 1 format for season 3. I think that's what works. That's what works for that character. Who's the actor on the Bosch show? Fun character actor on that. Titus Welliver, of course, yeah. The only book I've bought in an airport and read all in one go is called Blind Faith by Ben Elton. It was kind of a modern 1984, but I have no idea how it has held up now. Yeah, not familiar with that one. But maybe the next time I do take a flight, I'll read another Reacher book, because they are quite fun. There's just something like satisfying. I think that's what that character works. There's something really satisfying about just like following along with someone who's just like really good at doing stuff. He's just really good at like solving crimes and beating people up, and it's like there's not much more to the character than that. He's a big, large guy. He's really good at figuring out mysteries and puzzles and solving crimes, and he beats the heck out of a bunch of people. That's a formula that it's hard to mess up, I think. For years, I thought Titus Welliver was Irish because of Sons of Anarchy. Am I going to be canceled if I admit that I've never watched Sons of Anarchy? I never got into that one. Are you going to cancel me? Am I going to be canceled for this? It sucks. I love it. Canceled. Neither have I. Me neither. Never watched it. Cancel me with Rob. Biker Gang show. Canceled. So we got a variety of different viewpoints here. People doing the Lebowski references as well. Like, there was just like a post going around on Twitter last night of just like, this is the best scene in any movie ever. And it's just that first scene in the bowling alley with Walter and the dude and Donnie. And it really is just so great. It's just unbelievable. And I think the coolest thing about that scene is it feels so improvised. It feels so improvised and kind of like naturalistic. And then you look at the script and every single interruption, every single little stutter, every single and like all the crosstalk, it's all right there on the page. Like the actors are performing it identical to what is on the page with zero improvisation or zero addition to it. And it's just so it's so impressive on a screenwriting standpoint and from a acting standpoint, because that's not easy to do. It's not easy to do that. I can't imagine, as an actor, to perform that kind of a piece, which is so specific, and every single little word is scripted there, and you have to make it sound like this kind of natural thing. And they do such an amazing job with it. And it's just one of the very best scenes, and the whole film is like that. No, we're talking about The Big Lebowski, Johnny. Succession, obviously, I really did enjoy that a lot. We're talking about Succession, though. Coen brothers are amazing scriptwriters, hard to beat. Yeah, and it's like, on a story and character level, very good, and it's hard to have the both, to have dialogue and like actual story and character, and make all that work together, and then have an eye for casting to get the casting exactly right every single time. I only picture Jeff Bridges as the dude when he's mentioned, but ironically only hear his goofy voice from Iron Man 1. Tony Stark built this in a cave with a box of scraps. One of the great line deliveries, I think, in all of the MCU. This is fantastic. Yeah, WizBiz, that's it. The mishearing, the misspeaking, the interrupting, it's all in there. It's all right on the page. It's so cool. And like, it's really hard to write that. You know, I have a little bit of experience with screenwriting. It's really hard to write that. I always forget he was the very first MCU villain, and he's fantastic in it. And Iron Man, honestly, like, you set aside like all the MCU stuff and what it has led to and what's become, it's quite a good movie. Like, it's pretty good as just like a comic book superhero movie. And it totally like sets the stage for this big multi-billion-dollar like phenomenon that they built off that. But that wouldn't have worked if they hadn't really knocked that out of the park in like pretty much every aspect. They were lucky they got it right the first time. Yeah, I mean, that's Jon Favreau is like, there wouldn't, like, if they hadn't nailed that and that hadn't been a success, then there would be no MCU. For good or ill, maybe it's bad that that's what ended up happening. Goodman was so good and gets rightfully lauded, but Buscemi is so funny as the friend who just wants to know what the convo is about coming in halfway through. Where you going, dude? Going home, Donnie. Phone's ringing, dude. Thank you, Donnie. Yeah, it's just excellent. It's just so excellent. I feel 2008 Hulk is forgotten and the post-credits scene is already teasing Avengers. I think there's a lot to like about that one, the Ed Norton Hulk movie. And even though, like, what's his name? Oh God, I can't remember the names of like serious actors now. Like big actors. Mark Ruffalo. I can't remember Mark Ruffalo's name now. That's what's happening with me. Didn't really like how that was recast, because I think the Ed Norton Hulk movie is quite good. And it's got Tim Roth. Tim Roth is good in that. I imagine it's because Ed Norton was too expensive at the time. I don't even know if it was expensive, but I think he was like kind of he was being very like artist, like actor artist, wanting to change things and wanting to rewrite the script and being kind of like, yeah, difficult to work with. Because it's not like money is an object for fucking Marvel. Like, they got a lot of A-list actors to be in those films. Didn't want to do any of the promo stuff. I think he's a good actor as well. Yeah, I think he's a good actor as well. A lot of dicks are good actors. It's true. I mean, a lot of we've talked about this before. I think with both directing and acting in that world, I think we kind of like we accepted. I think that it's like tolerable to act in a certain way if you're like an artist, you know. And I think that's something we do need to like maybe push back on or move away from. Tolerating directors being like total psychos because it's their artistic vision or whatever it is, or actors or whoever. Still early as 2008 pitching a cinematic universe, I was so stoked. Alexandro, me too. I was really excited about the whole prospect. You know, I really was. And I was really on board for quite a while too. I talked about it before. Like I really liked Guardians of the Galaxy when that came out. I really liked Winter Soldier when that came out. I was really on board with this whole idea. And I think at some point something shifted in my mind where I was like, I no longer like this. This is all starting to feel sinister to me now. This is like not a fun, cool pop culture exercise. And I feel like there's something sinister happening with both the commerce angle and the political angle as well. And started to make me feel bad about myself watching it. Eccentricity is tolerated and even rationalized. Yeah, and I think like, listen, artists are eccentric. You know, it's true. And I don't think we should just lose that, or to have every kind of artist or successful artist or actor or director be like a like normie, a like neurotypical normie. But I think we do need to like maybe move away from this idea that it's tolerable to like terrorize people that you're working with. I think there's probably a balance you can have between being a weird and interesting artist and like not torturing the people that you're working with. Don't romanticize it. I didn't like it when every single Marvel character was just a quip fest of sarcastic leads. Yeah, that's why bringing in Joss Whedon, I think, made it less cool, definitely. That's when it became a sarcastic quip fest. Are we ready for the Israeli superhero in the next Cap America film? I know they've tried to rewrite the character as well. They've tried to rewrite the character so it's not like that bad, but like it's going to be inescapable. It is going to be totally inescapable. And probably most people, or a lot of people probably just will not watch the movie, even if that does have something like worthwhile about it. When they were just movies, it was exciting to see the Marvel stuff play out and be actually good. It soon became clear that their plan was to replace the movie industry as a whole. Yeah, that becomes a lot more like less fun to follow along with. Dropping that shit in February, yeah. Well, you remember how the first Thor was all emo and angry? Then the next film he's doing quips like he's on a sitcom. And I thought that worked in Ragnarok. I thought that worked in Thor Ragnarok because it's fun. It's actually fun. But yeah, it moved away from what they started that out as with like Kenneth Branagh and doing like kind of like a sort of Shakespearean kind of take on the character. And they totally jettisoned that. I don't really remember Dark World very much. Sabra can't go into certain international locations because they're wanted for crimes against humanity. Exactly. Yeah. You're going to send in the Avengers to partition Gaza or something. I don't know. Just depressing. Sabra has an arrest out for their a warrant out for their arrest from the ICJ, and with good cause. The Avengers interrupt the ICJ hearings, exactly. The evil ICJ is like demanding accountability. Don't they know that they need to be able to make these kind of decisions themselves, so that these big bureaucrats following everything they do? Can a friendly Christ-like chatter catch me up on today's stream? Well, St. Lotus, basically, I don't have a lot of time to do the stream right now. I'm in between the end of summer camp and the beginning of school, and I'm doing parenting, and I can't really sit here for that much longer, frankly. So I'm just doing a brief check-in, a brief little movie chat, talking about pop culture, catching up with everybody, you know, making sure there's still some kind of regular schedule going on. I do ask, though, that if people do enjoy this program, even though it's a shorter stream, please subscribe if you can. You know, I don't have huge expectations about what I can accomplish just in a short span of time this week, but if you can, please support the program by subscribing or by tipping. The tipping is very, very much appreciated, if possible. And I will be next week going back to more of a regular schedule. Captain America uses his shield when the Iron Dome breaks down. Oh no. Iron Dome would be actually a good new Avengers character as well. You can have Sabra and Iron Dome. That can be like a teammate, like a buddy comedy, a Marvel buddy comedy. Instead of Falcon and Winter Soldier, it's Sabra and Iron Dome. They're doing little quips with one another. I'm giving Hamas adamantium and the Hulkbuster armor. I think we should be doing that. Yeah. Juggernaut rebranded as Iron Dome after he converts. There we go. Look at that. One of them is from Long Island and the other one is from Poland. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, folks. Their one weakness is small children throwing rocks at them. It's the one thing that they can't deal with. You know, it's like everyone's got the Superman as kryptonite. They're just assassinating all these Israeli hostages.
The size of the account.
This summer, from the creators of Genocide, the feel-good buddy cop superhero film straight from occupied East Jerusalem.
Joe, thank you for the 200 bits. Yeah, that's their main mission. Your mission is to go and assassinate all these Israeli hostages that have been taken. That's what they've got to do. And their one weakness is this little kids whipping rocks at them. Just instantly explode. The villains are small families of olive farmers that just keep having children. Okay, yeah. This is just outrageous. It's just painful to think about. Is Sabra a mutant? I don't know. I know they've really changed the backstory a lot for this character for precisely this reason. Yeah, it's getting too close to reality. Exactly. That one made me a little uncomfortable. I'm not going to lie. That one made me feel a little weird to talk about. I think we should move away from this bit. Frankly, I think it's starting to hit a little close to home here. What does Magneto make of October 7th? I'm sure Magneto would have been helping tear down the fences. You know, we all remember the bulldozers bringing down those prison fences. Of course he'd be pro-Palestine. Magneto would be out there tearing down the fences himself. Where was Captain America on January 6th? No, Captain America on January 6th was backing up the Capitol Police, for sure. They're all being pushed to the brink by these reactionary boat dealership owners, and Captain America comes in with the shield, protects the Capitol building. How dare you put your feet on Nancy Pelosi's desk? She's a dedicated public servant. And he's whipping his shield at this poor bastard. Sorry, I got the language police watching me here, so I gotta watch what I'm saying here. Whenever I say a bad word, I'm getting called out right now. Captain America and the QAnon shaman. Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. Keep it down like that. I'm trying to stream over here. You're letting your son listen to the subversive commentary. That's why I'm keeping it a little light. It's a little light movie chat. It's a little light movie chat, that's all. There's this amazing Spider-Man 9/11 special, and you have a bunch of villains like Doctor Doom showing up in tears like, I can't believe such violence. I remember that. It's got this close-up on Doctor Doom's mask, and you can see a tear going down while he's looking at like the wreckage of the World Trade Center. We're spoiling your light movie chat with political comments. Well, it's okay. I mean, okay, I'm sorry. Doom is a badass. IDGAF. I'm pro Von Doom. Loden, what do you think about the whole like Robert Downey Jr. Doctor Doom thing? How do you feel about that? If the Sabra bit hits too close to reality, wait until you hear about the beginning of Iron Man 1. Well, there's elements of that, Dr. Maggot, but there's also in Iron Man 1, it's like the military-industrial complex is creating these enemies, right? There is a kind of like interesting idea going on in there, even if there's some kind of weird, xenophobic, racialized aspects of that. I'm talking about Afghanistan and everything, but like it does explicitly go back to American, US-based arms manufacturers creating these exact conditions to make money on selling weapons. I mean, that's the whole point of like Ironmonger and Jeff Bridges' character in that movie. And that's the thing. We've talked about this before, but there's often that kind of stuff in Marvel movies where there's like a hint of an interesting idea in there, and I think that those hints were a lot stronger earlier on in the franchise, especially in Iron Man 1. And then we've talked about the ways that like the role that the United States government plays around the world and all the evils of imperialism always get like mentioned a little bit, but then it's like it ends up like being this like status quo reinforcing idea. I didn't see that new Fantastic Four movie. It had a fantastic. Oh my god! I just said fantastic. It had a really good cast. It's weird it didn't work. I guess it was just it was a big mess. The only Captain America one I liked was the one with the Nazis. I really loved Winter Soldier. I think Winter Soldier may have been the last like genuinely good Marvel film. Anyone remember the 80s movie Navy SEALs? I remember that movie, Diego, but I have not seen it in probably 30 years. With Charlie Sheen and Michael Biehn, we're in the intro scene, raid some Middle Eastern town and videotape everything, and then back on the base, 2 IDF guys sit there reviewing the video and complaining they let the civilians live. That's crazy. What is your opinion on The Last Jedi? I do not like it. I thought it was bad. I thought it was very bad. It was not good. Oh, my son's opinion? He hasn't watched it. Oh god, it's atrocious. They turned the thing Ben Grimm loving catchphrase, "It's clobberin' time," to a phrase he reuses from when his brother used to beat him. The film needs to be burned from this earth. I just saw a clip going around from it the other day about the last scene when they come up with the name Fantastic Four. They're like thinking about a name, and it's this really not a good scene. It is really not good. It's slobberin' time. That's what I say when I see a delicious meal. When I see a delicious sandwich, that's exactly what I say. That's my catchphrase. Folks, I'm gonna have to get going soon. Like I said, it's making it into an hour and a half. That's about half the length of a normal stream. I'm sorry this week is a little bit difficult for me. We can't really do anything too serious other than kind of talk about this stuff. I know, Sean, but I'm in between end of summer camp and beginning of school on Thursday right now, and I'm just not able to do full streams. So I got a full house here right now. So I'm not going to be able to stick around much longer. It has been fun to hang out and talk about movies. I mean, I could just sit here and talk about movies for probably 6 hours a day if that's what this show was. If I felt like that was possible. I love to sit here and shoot the shit with all of you about the flicks, the classic flicks that we know and love. And sometimes their political and social implications and critiques. There's few things that I like more than that. The dang cinema. Exactly. But one final time, folks, if possible, please do subscribe to the show if you can. I'm really just trying to do a little bit of stuff this week before I get back to a regular schedule. If you can, please subscribe. Help me make the little number go up. Again, I'm not expecting a whole lot. I know I don't have a lot of time. If you can help me make the little number go up maybe a little bit, if you can tip, whatever it is, whatever way that you can support this program, it's all very, very helpful. And I do appreciate it a lot. I'm kind of trying to just tread water this week before I get back to a regular schedule. Rob is like Reacher. If Reacher's specialties were talking politics and singing three-pointers. That's right. Yeah, that's exactly right. One chatter could get Rob across the line with a brave and ambitious 30 gift sub. Well, but obviously no one's brave and cool enough to do that. Obviously no one is brave and cool enough to do that. So I'm not even expecting that. But if people could subscribe or support the show, I would appreciate it a whole lot. You know? Even approaching halfway would be good. That would be really great if we were able to do that. Sorry for being an unambitious coward. Well, it's okay. I don't hold it against you. I'm not going to hold it against anybody. And I should be able to go back to some kind of a regular schedule in the next week. Oh, it's all right, Johnny. No problem. I get it. You get a special badge if you donate 30 in one subscription. I don't even know if that's true, but that would be pretty cool. That would be pretty neat. I googled France news and the first thing that pops up is Macron meets Le Pen. It's because he's learning how to write for the first time. He doesn't know how to do the handheld. He's too used to typing. And he's learning how to write properly. Cursive. Le Pen. Huh? Huh? Yeah. Yeah, I remember the deal. Maybe you should be watching something else. Maybe you should watch a movie or something. I'm almost finished soon anyways. Yeah, I remember. So I gotta get going soon, folks. Are there any other fine individuals that would like to support this program? So far, the call to action has not been successful. So far, my brief check-in has not been a huge success. You know, people still, of course, very supportive of this program. Something that I appreciate a whole lot. Believe me, a whole lot. They don't know it's not a cult, exactly. Too many people still think that it is. Oh, Perfect Spiller, thank you for $10. I really appreciate that. Thank you. What a silly alert that is. Some days you eat the bear, and some days the bear, well, eats you. We did a whole Lebowski segment of this movie corner, Lodane, before you showed up. I was thinking about you. You missed out, though. We did it was a brief Lebowski detour in the movie corner.
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Dr. Maggot, thank you for a gifted sub. I appreciate you, Dr. Maggot. Thank you for that. And Joey Steele, thanks for the 1337. Thank you. Very much appreciated.
Man, you gotta feed the monkey.
I have medical stuff today. Going to pick up meds after you at GTFO. Well, that's a pretty solid excuse for not being around for our weekly Lebowski chat. That's all right, Dr. Maggot. I appreciate all the support. Believe me. Sean says, I'm trying to get my shit together. If it helps slowly getting better at making small gains and such, I would be around more consistently. Well, take your time, Sean. She has health problems. Yeah. I hope to see you soon again, Sean. Take your time.
We simply
I can't remember.
use the computer to mark up the
I can't
size
remember
of the account.
typo. I want to keep making it a thing, and I can't remember. I can't remember Sean's typo. Was it like spaking? Spaking. This MF said spaking like 3 weeks ago. What the heck? What the heck? What is that guy talking about? What the heck's Sean doing over there? I've been around for most episodes, though. Bulk of the series. Hardly a lightweight. Exactly, Lodane. So, folks, I'm gonna raid out now. If there's any other fine individuals that would like to support this program, please do. Otherwise, I'm gonna take off. I will try to be back tomorrow for another brief check-in. Yeah. Okay. Can I just have like one more minute here? Right. Spaking. You see what happens, Larry? There is still time if someone wants to come in and drop 28 subs. I mean, I'm not going to say no to it. I'm not going to say no to it if someone wants to come through in the final moments. You know, it is possible. It's theoretically possible. I killed your fucking god, man. And Dimitri, thank you for the 100 bits. If you were curious, he wouldn't object. I wouldn't say no to it. I wouldn't be mad about it. You know? I just bought this car last week, man. What a movie. What a goddamn movie.